Kronus is burning again. The Blood Ravens return to a world in ruins, swarmed by Orc warlords, haunted by ancient horrors, and pushed right to the brink. But the moment everything seems like it's going to collapse, something answers their call. They're not alone. My name is Tom and this is LT Gaming, and today we're diving into Dawn of War 4 once again. Officially named one of PC Gamer's most wanted games of 2026. But this is a rare moment where PC Gamer and I are perfectly aligned. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the new story trailer, pulling together only the confirmed details from the developers, and giving you a grounded look at what Dawn of War 4 is shaping up to be. If you do like thoughtful previews, strategy deep dives, feel free to drop a like, it genuinely helps us get out there on YouTube, and feel free to subscribe if you feel I've earned it. Right, let's jump into it. So the big reveal of today is the story trailer, and it sets a bleak stage in the beginning. The Blood Ravens return to Kronus years after Dark Crusade and immediately find the place in absolute tatters. Orc warlords are already running wild, Necron tombs are stirring beneath the ice, and the Adeptus Mechanicus are digging into knowledge that probably should stay lost. Every faction wants something from this planet, and none of them are playing nicely. From what we can see, we know the Imperium's lines are collapsing, and the Ravens are fighting uphill from the moment they land. And the whole thing feels like some sort of desperate last stand. And then the trailer pulls its pivot. We are not alone. The camera cuts and we see them, the Dark Angels making landfall, green armor blazing through the chaos. And just when you think that's the pivotal moment, the trailer pushes it further. Lion L. Johnson himself steps out of the dust. That's right, a Primarch on Kronus answering the call. It's one of the biggest reveals of the series that's ever been put to the screen, and it reframes the entire conflict in about 3 seconds flat. Now, from a gameplay standpoint, Dawn of War 4 is very clearly aiming for that classic Dawn of War feel. And after playing the early alpha skirmish build myself, I can genuinely say it is on the right track. You're building proper bases again, none of the half-measure stuff. Requisition and power nodes force you onto the map, and holding ground matters. In the alpha, every push felt like a deliberate decision, rather than just move blob forward and hope for the best. Squads behave exactly how I wanted them to. Stick in cover and they actually survive, leave them in the open and they were evaporated. Retreating my battered units, preserving veterancy, it all matters again. The Blood Ravens I kept alive genuinely ended up feeling like my people, and that's exactly how I like it to be. The combat weight was surprising, it's chunky. Boulders really sound like they hurt, flamers clear infantry like they got somewhere important to be, and every firefight feels like its own little epic story. Then you had the heavies. The first time I rolled up a Predator tank, it felt like unleashing a mobile war crime. The Dreadnought, that thing walks like it's looking for an argument. In the alpha, a single heavy unit properly supported could completely swing the tempo of a fight, and that's exactly the feeling I want from a Dawn of War game. We also have all the cool bells and whistles like the sync kill system, bigger, bloodier and much more varied. In the alpha, they didn't interrupt the flow too much either, which was my concern. They land, they're brutal, and then you're straight back into command mode. The whole thing feels like Dawn of War refined, faster than the original, cleaner in its pacing, but still heavy and tactical where it should be. Dawn of War 4 isn't shy about its scale or ambition. We're getting 4 full campaigns covering all 4 factions, and that's the Space Marines, Orks, Necrons, and the Adeptus Mechanicus. With over 70 missions in total, it's the biggest story structure the series has ever put together. Each campaign moves across the biomes of Kronus. Frozen wastelands, manufactorums, hive cities, highlands, all with their own tactical feel, hopefully keeping every mission fresh instead of just being different shapes of brown. You'll recognise a few returning faces too, Captain Cyrus, Jonah Ryan, and of course Gorguts, who has once again shown up to shout his way into another Dawn of War game. Love it. But the Space Marines campaign is where things look like they're going to get really interesting. For the first time, you're not just commanding the Blood Ravens, you also choose missions as the Dark Angels, with their own commanders and their own style of warfare. And all of it looks to build towards that massive story moment the trailer has already revealed, the Dark Angels intervention and Lion L. Johnson stepping onto the field for a cinematic moment. It's big, it's pulpy, it's very Warhammer 40k. At launch, Dawn of War 4 is going to give us 4 playable factions, and each one will be built on its own proper identity. Space Marines are going to be the elite option, fewer in number, high impact, and packed with customization. Between the Blood Ravens and Dark Angels, you're going to have multiple commanders and 2 hopefully very different flavours of discipline and devastation. Orks of course are going to be pure momentum, hordes of bodies, loud toys, and the glorious mess that happens when everything explodes, intentionally or otherwise. Necrons being the slow, relentless push, tombs awakening, units reassembling, and that eerie march forward. They're the faction that refuses to stay dead, and a big shout out here because they're my favourite to play in Dawn of War the original. And then there's going to be the Adeptus Mechanicus, finally a playable faction in the Dawn of War game. I imagine they're going to be methodical and tech heavy, long range firepower, specialised infantry, and an entire theology built upon dangerous machinery. So 4 armies from the inception, 4 completely different rhythms, and 4 full campaigns built around them. So it's easily the most structurally ambitious Dawn of War release to date. The game is also going to launch with a solid spread of modes. You got Skirmish of course, with more than 30 AI missions. So perfect for a quick play or testing your builds out. Multiplayer is going to come with 1v1, 2v2, 3v3 across 30 plus maps. So plenty of room for meta shifts and late night arguments. The whole thing also supports co-op, which is music to my ears, including in the campaigns. So this is ideal for Luke and I to jump in and have a blast. And then, yes, the last stand will return, fast chaotic survival mode with 3 players trying to survive longer than any common sense recommends. I adored this mode. Pack in the in-game editor for maps and missions, the painter tool for faction colours and personalisation, and mod support, and we're going to have an absolute juggernaut of an RTS game, I believe. So I had to mention this trailer drops this massive moment, the Dark Angels arriving on Kronus, and yes, the Lion himself stepping onto the battlefield. And look, it's undeniably cool, but it raises a few questions in my mind. The Dark Angels turning up is one thing, they're methodical, disciplined, and when they commit hard. But a Primarch? This is where things get interesting. In the setting, a Primarch isn't a casual deployment. You don't send one to a failing front unless the stakes are astronomical. So it does make me wonder what is actually buried on Kronus that justifies calling in the Lion. Because Primarchs don't answer distress signals, they answer existential threats. And then there's another layer here. When you bring in someone so powerful into a Dawn of War story, you've got to balance spectacle with the reality of the scale. A Primarch shifts morale, stabilises fronts, and effectively rewrites the odds the moment they step in. So how will they keep the campaign feeling like a struggle once a literal demigod is on the board? And what are the other factions going to bring to the table? It's exciting, sure, but it also sets a high bar for how the final act will handle power, pacing, and player agency. If they pull it off, it's going to be brilliant. So stepping back from all of this, how do we sum it up? Well, Dawn of War 4 is shaping to be the biggest entry the series has ever attempted. It really looks like they're going to swing for the fences here. But as always, ambition cuts both ways. Working a Primarch into a Dawn of War story narrative is very bold, maybe too bold. It raises the stakes absolutely, but it means the final act has to really stick the landing and give us battles that still feel like our victories and not just the Lion doing all the heavy lifting. What I can say from the Alpha Skirmish is the fundamentals feel absolutely right. It plays like Dawn of War, big weighty combat, meaningful map control, proper squads, and vehicles that make impact. If the campaigns match that foundation, we could be looking at a genuine return to form. But that's my take. I'd love to hear what you think. Are you excited? Cautious, curious about how they're going to handle the Dark Angels or a Primarch? Drop your thoughts in the comments, give the video a like if you enjoyed what you saw, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye now.